Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Hey.
Appreciate you folks jumping in as we do this live, and also those of you who will be watching the recordings later on. We are members of the DragonCon Newbies Facebook group and longtime con attendees, and just doing some Q&As to help folks out here. So let me allow all the folks who are here to give quick introductions. My name is Kevin Batchelder, and I'm also joined, depending upon where these squares are on the screen.
They're the same for everybody.
Is it? Oh, awesome. See,
yeah.
Get thrown off.
StreamYard's great.
Get thrown off with Zoom and everything else. All right, then I will go to my right. Kim, say hello.
Hi, I'm Kim McGivney. I've been going to DragonCon for a long time, and I am a con volunteer. Michael?
Oh, I guess me.
Okay.
Clockwise.
Down. Hi, I'm Sue. I'm one of the hosts of Women at Warp. We're a Roddenberry Star Trek podcast. And I've been attending DragonCon for over 10 years now. I'm not sure of the exact number. And I think I might hold the record for panels in a weekend.
It's a good
if I don't hold it, I'm very close.
And I am Michael Faulkner. I am the owner, operator, writer, and general staff at Creative Criticality. That's my site where I blog about all things pop culture. I also do podcasting, and pretty much anywhere that anybody will let me talk about geeky stuff, I'm there.
Awesome. Yep. All of us enjoy being involved at different levels with DragonCon. That's part of why this convention is so special, is all of the folks who volunteer, officially, unofficially involvement. Helps to make this such a fun event. But being as diverse as it is, being as big as it is, being as dynamic as it is, we know folks, first couple of times you come, there's lots to learn. So our group, if you're not already aware, depending on where you're watching this, is on Facebook, DragonCon Newbies. If you just search for it. We've all been involved in it for, goodness, 10 plus years now. So lots, great community. All questions are welcome. We know not often places are comfortable getting lots of similar questions over and over, but we encourage them because we want to make sure you have as much fun as we do. So glad to answer any questions. So if you're watching this live somewhere, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it might be, by all means, don't hesitate, pop a question there and we will see it and hopefully try to address it for you. We can certainly talk about different topics. Glad to do it. Four of us certainly aren't bashful, but we'd like to make sure it gets as focused as possible on what you folks might want to learn a little more about. So as we wait for some things to come in, I know a few of the topics we talked about to make sure we wanted to cover some things. Michael, maybe you can talk about something you wanted to make sure to share, get us started.
Yeah, communication is a big thing at con. Now it's going to be a little different this year, obviously, with some of the membership caps and lower numbers of people that are going to be there. But it's still going to be a lot of folks, and they're going to be flooding the cell phone towers and stuff like that. I know that Verizon and AT&T are two of the strongest providers in the Atlanta area. T-Mobile and Sprint combined have quite a big presence though as well. And I know that within the MARTA system, they're the only ones that have antennas set up, so you can go end to end on MARTA and be able to check your phone, still talk on the phone, that kind of thing. I don't know how it's going to play into DragonCon itself. One of the things that I heard a while back, and my wife and I still do, along with some of our friends, is when we text message each other back and forth, like, hey, do you want to go get dinner or something like that? We always end each text at DragonCon with a little signature, basically, that is the date and time that we sent that message, because there is a possibility that the messages may not get there for, anywhere from half an hour to 5 hours later. So it's good to know that if someone in your party has gone off to get dinner and you want to meet up with them after whatever panel you're in ends, that you are still on the right time frame to go get them and go meet up with them. That's helped out immensely in trying to coordinate people, because it's really hard to call each other at DragonCon. Text is really the best way to go.
And I know for me, one of the things that folks will ask related to that too is, well, what about getting Wi-Fi signal, on my device?
No Wi-Fi.
No Wi-Fi.
Yeah, Wi-Fi is not going to work well again with tens of thousands of people in a small concentrated area. To make your battery last longer, we do recommend folks turn off Wi-Fi.
Yes.
And any other things you may not need that are pinging notifications or what have you, because as some of the locations have a harder time getting a signal, your device is going to work harder to try to do that and therefore drain the battery. So
Yeah,
And
you can.
combining those two tips, I would say if you are an iPhone user speaking to another iPhone user, turn off iMessage and just let your text be text messages, because iMessage is looking for a special connection and your messages will send faster and probably get there more accurately or sooner if you are sending them as SMS messages.
And I do carry, battery packs with me, little small battery, packs you can pick up pretty much anywhere. I make sure I charge those either overnight or at some point when I'm in my room. Yeah, right there. Having a portable battery to charge your phone. Yes, it will definitely come in handy. It's actually really handy because it's really hard to find outlets anywhere at con to plug into. You might get lucky and be able to sit in the back of a panel room and find a spot to plug into and charge your phone while you're there. But those portable batteries are a lifesaver. Especially when it comes around halfway through the day and your battery is dead.
The track that I volunteer for is down in the bowels of the Hyatt. So I will sometimes just put my phone on airplane mode instead of just, because it will keep searching for a signal when there's no signal for it to find. And that saves the battery life on my phone.
Yep.
Do you have, sorry, Kevin.
Nope, go ahead, Sue.
Just highlighting a question. Any news on the DragonCon app?
Well, the important thing to keep in mind here, along with having some fun when folks ask that question, as you'll see in other groups, is that the data, there you go, the data in the app, if you will, the schedule, isn't going to come out until very close to con. The exact number of days varies each year, and this year being a very unique situation, I don't want to speak for the con, but in the past, I think we've seen anywhere from 5 to 10 days or so before con is when you will actually have data you can count on, schedules in the actual app itself. But that app will just be a lifesaver. There is so much valuable information from schedules to maps, updates every day as things can change. The schedule, even when you see it, when it downloads, let's say a week, before the con, folks, that is a very fluid situation still. It could change many, many times right up till day of. So just keep in mind that you're going to want to be checking on that.
Yeah.
And again, since the cell phone signals, oh, sorry, Kim. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say one thing that we haven't talked about on the app is that on the app, there is a thing called friends and friend codes, and you can share your schedule with somebody else through the app by using the friend codes.
Yep. Definitely a way to do it. And also keep in mind too, as we said, the cell phone signals aren't great in spots. So don't be expecting to be able to get into the app and refresh it every 10 minutes to see what's going on. You might end up the same thing that you had as far as a cell phone signal. It's certainly something to probably, if you can, upload first thing in the morning before you get to the con, or when you do have a decent signal. Some folks will take and, if they have their schedule planned or events they want to see, they'll take a screenshot of that from the app. Just save it as a photo to have on their phone, because then you can easily pull that up. Whereas if you try to get the app to refresh, along with tens of thousands of other people, that's when it can sometimes get a little challenging. But that is something you definitely, ahead of con, once the app is available, if you can spend some time just going through it, seeing what's there, learning about it a little bit, it'll come in very handy at con.
So I just pulled it up from last year, and there's my schedule in purple and Faulkner's schedule in red. So
Yep. Somebody did ask if
Also-
the app is available in the different stores, and yes, the app is available in both the Play Store and I believe it's still available in the Apple App Store. You're going to look for the words Dragon Con, 2 words. It's made by a user or a provider called Core Apps, and it'll populate when the data is available, but you can get the core shell installed now and just wait for it to pop in.
And one more thing about schedules right now is that even though the app will not really tell you a schedule until about 5 or 10 days before the event, certain tracks are going to post their tentative schedule ahead of time. And those are generally available on their social media. So I know for the last several years, BritTrack has done this, and they'll release their schedule very far in advance, and you can take a look at what's there. So if there's a particular track you're really interested in, I recommend going and finding their social media presences and make sure you're following them to see if that schedule becomes available earlier.
Yep.
One
I
other
know
thing to know about the schedule is that there are always some changes to the schedule during the con. Okay. Now, there's a couple, 3 different ways that you can find out about this. 1, the app will update with changes. 2 is the Late Late Show, which is like at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's the Late Late Show because they've stayed up that late. 3 is the Daily Dragon, which will be available as a hard copy at all of the information booths, and they're color coded, a different color for each day. They'll have schedule changes in it and who won the contest yesterday and that sort of information in it.
All right. Piggybacking off of schedules is, what is a track? So this is a very, we jumped ahead, should have defined it. A track at Dragon Con is simply how programming is organized. I apologize if you hear the ice cream truck. That is ever present in my summer reality. A track, there are 40 plus programming tracks, I believe, at least 35 at Dragon Con. And there's the Brit track, which covers British media. There's the Star Trek track. There's the Star Wars track. There's American Sci-Fi Classics. There's American Sci-Fi Media. There's Sci-Fi Lit. There's High Fantasy. There's anime. There's, I think gaming has its own track. I think RPGs might even have its own track aside from gaming. So it's simply an organizational structure. So if what you are most interested in is Lost Girl, because I'm looking at Kevin, then you are going to be probably most interested in the programming on the urban fantasy track. If what you're most interested in is Lord of the Rings, that would be a high fantasy track. So it's just a way to organize events to help people find them more easily. And you don't, I thought this my very first year, you don't have to sign up for a track. Like I thought I had to pick one like it was college and stay on that path, and those were the only events I could go to. No, not a thing. Truly just organization. That's it.
Yeah, each of those tracks is going to have their own home base. Like, you know, the American Sci-Fi Classics, the American Sci-Fi Media are both in the Marriott on the bottom floor, that kind of thing. So that, like Sue was saying, it's an organizational thing. If you know you want to go see something in that grouping, you're gonna go to that one room where they're hanging out this entire con. And then if there's something bigger going on, you know, like, you know, Doctor Who has a giant panel, you'll go to a ballroom for that. It's still hosted by the track, but it's on, you know, main programming instead of actually in the track room itself.
Yeah, it's a great way too for you to meet a lot of folks who have very similar tastes in properties. Again, all of it will be in the app. You'll be able to see all those events. There could be 30, 35 of them going on at the same time any given day. But that's where, as Sue mentioned, the content will be a bit, structured. Focused, better word, to that particular track. And certainly, if you're anything like me, as you go to some of these events and some of these different tracks, you're going to start to see familiar faces, because a lot of folks, doesn't mean that they're new or anything, but some folks just tend to like that particular topic. So you'll see those faces. It can create a comfort level, certainly, for you. It's a great way to, like I say, get very comfortable very fast, even with the tens of thousands of people that are around. There are ways to look up within the app, certainly, as another example, be it TV show, movie, the property you're interested in. A search can show you which events are happening. They will tend to be in a track, but sometimes a property is shared by a couple of tracks when it comes to doing panels. I know myself, I'm the assistant track director for the urban fantasy track, and we've got a panel or two that's being shared with another track because the show kind of crosses some lines there. So just because you think something fits in such and such a track, that's not always the case. But you can look for it based on the content you're interested in over the course of the con. And it's a great way just to get into stuff. I mean, to follow up on a point we said a little earlier, as far as the schedules, like I said, if you're a huge fill in the blank here, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever it might be, fan, you might want to go online to be at the Facebook group maybe, or Facebook page or Twitter for one of these tracks. And you can look them up on the DragonCon website. They have a listing of the tracks and links to where you can find more info on them. That's where you might see other folks who are interested in it already ahead of con. The Urban Fantasy track, we put up our schedule a few days ago, knowing that it's going to change between now and con, but it gives folks kind of an idea which panels we're doing when they're looking like they might be done, knowing that it's very much subject to change. I know a couple of the items already, we've got some things in motion. So look at it for broad strokes at this point, especially this far out from con.
All right. How are backpacks viewed at con?
Cautiously.
It is. A lot of people carry backpacks. Okay. And nothing wrong with that. But if you're going to carry a huge backpack, be aware of what's around you. I'm 5 foot tall. I have gotten smacked in the head more than once by somebody who turned real quick and didn't realize I was back there. So yeah, carry a backpack. Everybody carries some kind of bag. You need a con bag because you have stuff you want to carry around with you. Bottle of water, your phone, your wallet, snacks, whatever.
Yeah, and related to that too, the question that folks will sometimes think of on that one is, keep in mind the DragonCon is occurring at 5+ hotels. You're not in a convention center, so it's not a case of where there are rules about backpacks or even suitcases or whatever it might be. You're in a hotel. You're moving between hotels, so the backpack is very valuable for just that reason, as Kim is pointing out. Snack and something else that you might need, that battery pack that we talked about, some other things there, but do be conscious that you're going to be around a ton of other people. So yeah, you can't wield it like a weapon.
Right.
Yeah, I personally prefer a shoulder bag or a crossbody bag,
Mhm.
because that puts both the weight a little lower, like closer to your center of gravity than a backpack does, but also you're able to turn that bag so it is in front of you. Because, I mean, there are plenty of people who, aren't thinking about the crowds or the city and will, stick the wallet in their outer pocket of their super stuffed backpack. And when they go to get it, their wallet is gone.
Mhm.
So it's a safety and security thing as well. Why I hate backpacks.
If you go to our Facebook group, DragonCon Newbies on Facebook, and do a search in the group for con bag, we've had a really good post, real long, lengthy post about various things that people carry in their con bag that you might find really helpful to kind of give you an idea of what you might want to take around, might want to have with you.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely take the opportunity for whatever bag you're going to use to kind of personalize it, and make it your own for this con. I know mine has, patches and pins and stuff like that on it. The counterpoint to that is, or the I guess the follow on to that one is, like, for pins, make sure that you are able to secure them well so someone can't just snatch them. If you look at locking pin backs, they're really big, like at the Disney parks, but I got a pack of them on Amazon, and they're just little tiny things that stick on the back of the pin. You lock it down with an Allen wrench, and you can't rip a pin off a bag that way. If the little frog thing on the back pops off, it's not going to bother you because it's not an issue. And patches are also another thing that people do a lot of things with. I do a lot of Velcro with them, and I went out to Home Depot instead of relying on the kind of weaker Velcro. I went out and got the industrial strength stuff and just put it on there and stuck it on, and those patches do not move.
So we've got another app question here. I think what this is asking is if the app is the best way to track your schedule and the things you want to go to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you might still be able to download the old app from 2019. If you can, I say do it and just play around with it so you can get used to how it functions. Each event listed will have a little star, and if you touch that star, it adds the event to your personal calendar. You can add as many in the time slot as you want. I've had like 12 things in a single time slot. You can also sort by, that's not surprising as Kim's laughing at me. You can sort by track if you're looking for specific programming. You can even you can view the guests and go into their little bio, and at the bottom of their bio it shows every panel that that guest is doing, so you can find it that way. You can search by keyword, so there are lots of different ways to find out what's going on. And my recommendation, is always to, if you're interested in it, just hit that star and add it to your schedule. It doesn't matter. It'll warn you if there's a conflict, but just say, okay, that's fine. And then when you're viewing your schedule later, you can pare things down if you want to, or you can just leave it all there, because by Sunday, you might be tired of walking from the Hyatt to the Sheraton and be looking for something to do that's closer to where you already are.
Yeah, that's one thing we always tell newbies is don't make a rigorous schedule. Like don't think that, you know, if you don't see these things in this order that your con is ruined. The nature of Dragon Con is so fluid. You know, I always throw out that the term, you know, the funny term semper gumby, always flexible, because, you know, things are going to change left and right when you're there at the con. You know, pick 3 or 4 things like Sue was saying, put them in there, and then decide when a time comes. Like, do I really feel like walking all the way up that hill? Do I, you know, my friends are going over here, whatever else. I'm actually hungry right now. I should go get dinner. You know, yeah, that kind of thing. And just
schedule meals.
Yes.
You can, it also allows you to add your own private event.
Mm-hmm.
No joke, schedule meals.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Now, there is also, or there has been in the past, going on history here, the Pocket program, the printed version of the schedule in really tiny print. So you don't have to use a phone as your only method of keeping up on what's the schedule, if that's not something you want to do. But obviously the printed schedule is printed at least a few days ahead of con. So any of these changes, as Kim was mentioning earlier, then you've got to be much more aware of those daily Dragon printed updates to make sure you're catching anything that's changed. The app, if you update it every day, will catch all those changes, but the printed program won't. But it's another way to avoid having to use a smartphone if you don't want to. So you can go about it that way.
The Pocket Program guide with the mice type has been replaced with the Quick Start guide, which is nice and largely printed and is color coded. So we don't have the mice print anymore.
And when Kevin says Daily Dragon, that each of the help locations, the assistance locations that are around information booths, that's what they're called, that are around the con, they will have a it's been a week. They would have a stack every day of what they call the Daily Dragon, and it's a one sheet thing that is color coded per day on pastel paper, that tells you the changes, the additions, cancellations, everything like that's gone on. And then a couple little fan things in there too, like announcements from people or whatever else. Those are your best way, if you're going on the paper side, just to pick those up in the morning as you're coming in and review what changes have occurred overnight, and keep up to date.
All right. So does the progress report update automatically, and how often? The progress report is not a daily update. The progress report is a convention update, and it is a PDF, so it does not update automatically. And in the past, it's always been just once a year. Is that right, Kim?
Actually, the new digital version does update, although I cannot tell you what schedule it updates on. But if you do go to the digital version of it, I'm thinking maybe they update it after the town hall and when they make announcements and stuff. I don't exactly know, but I do know that there were plans to have that update. But that's only, the progress report is only prior to the con. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're not going to see schedules there, anything like that. You will see guests that are coming, attending professionals that are coming, contests, gaming things. All those sort of things are in the progress report, but there are no schedules in it. It is simply an update on what's going to be going on at the con later when the con's going on.
Yeah. Also, keep in mind too on the schedule part, if the app approach isn't for you, they also make a web-based version. So all you need is a web browser to actually look at the data that's in the app. That's also available too. I don't have the link handy, but this is certainly something if folks were interested in that. If you don't want to have to do the official app approach, maybe you're doing it at home or where you're staying has a computer and you want to browse it and look at it on a larger screen than a phone and so forth. There is that a web version as well that will have that same data that would be in the actual app, and that is updated as the app is. So each morning or the night before, certainly the morning probably better to check and see what's going on based on the things you had hoped to attend.
And if what you're looking for is not schedule updates, but like policy updates, the best place to go is right here, dragoncon.org/updates. That's going to have your most up-to-date information on all con info and policy. All right, we have got another question. Is badge pickup only at the Sheraton? Yes and no.
Yes.
Generally, yes.
Well, yes. For most attendees, your badge pickup is at the Sheraton, unless you are an eternal and they have a separate pickup area, or you are an attending professional or a guest.
Yep.
In which case, your badge pickup is in a different location. But for most attendees, your badge pickup is at the Sheraton. It's on the lower level of the Sheraton. There will be lovely, helpful volunteers to direct you where you need to go. That's also where, if you need disability services, you will find disability services located there as well.
And a general little caveat here to throw in the middle of things is, do keep in mind, folks, we're not an official source. We're just big fans of the con, trying to help folks out with comments and so forth. Always go to the official sources, as Sue has done a great job. The DragonCon website, or when you're at the con, any of the information booths. We'll give you our best guess on some things. We'll give you some, well, for the last 5 years, here's what happened, but that doesn't mean that this year everything doesn't change, especially in the times of COVID. So we're all, waiting to see. We're doing, every year we do walking tours to help folks out, as well as a couple of Q&A panels. Everything related to that is up in the air as we try to plan for that too. So if we give you some thoughts, do kind of put that all in pencil with a little asterisk that we're all kind of learning as we go, especially this year.
Well, I can tell you for certain, badge pickup is still in the Sheraton. That's already been confirmed by the con.
There are some things
forever.
There are some things I'd put money on, but less money than in previous years.
All right, I think that's all the questions we had pending. If you have more, please stick them in the comments.
Yep.
But while we wait for more questions, I want to talk about panel etiquette. And this is specifically regarding guest panels. If misbehaving cats, I apologize, friends. Guest panels. So these are, like, we're talking about media guests, like Christopher Eccleston, right? If you know that you want to ask a question, my best advice is to plan that question. Write it down. Think about the words you want to say. And literally put it in a note in your phone, put it on an index card, because you could get up to that microphone and become overwhelmed or tongue-tied. It's happened to all of us. So be prepared. Have a backup question in case somebody in front of you in line steals your question unknowingly. Keep it short, straightforward. Make sure you follow the directions of the volunteers at the microphones, the ones running the questions for the track. And really, don't ramble on. This is not, if you have a story you want to share, if you want to tell the guest how you changed your life, that is lovely, but it is not the right place to do that at a panel during a Q&A. That is something you do at the Walk of Fame at their table. That's one-on-one. So just, hi, here's my question. Thank you. That's how it goes at panels.
And keep in mind, if you haven't been to a DragonCon, or haven't talked to some folks who have been, one of the great things about the panels with guests at DragonCon is that normally, depending upon what's going on with the guest or the moderator, 90% plus of the time at those panels will be questions from folks at the con. It's not like there's a lot of prepared speeches or that the moderator is going to ask, 55 minutes of questions and leave time for only 2 fan questions. Oftentimes, as someone who has done several of these panels as the moderator, I got a question or 2 to kind of let everybody get comfortable on their seats. And then it's like, okay, gang, you take it from here. So lots of folks will get to ask questions. Don't be bashful. Like Sue said, if you follow those guidelines, there may be a long line at that microphone, but don't let that dissuade you from getting up and getting your spot to wait for your turn, because normally the panel is going to be filled with those questions. So, a lot of times they'll work their way, if they can, through all the folks who have a question. And as someone who has been in the front of the room too, one other suggestion to add to Sue's comments is, please think about the question too in terms of its comfort level for the people around you and the guest. Don't ask awkward questions. Don't ask for a kiss or a hug or something that, is not something that the whole room is going to want to hear about.
Especially this year. Don't ask for
this year,
Right.
security-wise, no.
But
just,
I've seen some really shocking things asked of guests. All real examples. Like, can you tell us embarrassing stories about your pregnant coworker?
Yeah.
Right.
What? No.
Don't.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a story about you as a child? No. Not okay.
Yeah, these folks are very giving of their time and willing to talk about a lot of things, but just use a little common sense. It'll go a long, long way.
Yeah, and as a courtesy to those who are standing behind you as well, because we have a lot of people just like you who want to ask a question of the celebrities. No multi-part questions. Don't have This is more of a comment than a question. Don't go with those. Make sure it's just very pointed question about what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, you'll see the guests around the con as well. One of the things about Dragon Con is that a lot of guests keep coming back because they like interacting with our crowd, with our attendees. But they're not always on duty for that, right? If you see somebody at the bar, like, hey man, love your work. Okay. But don't interrupt their dinner. Don't corner them in the bathroom, which I have also seen. Don't follow them around the floor. Like, there's a clear line between on duty and off duty for guests, and that should be respected. To extend that, there's a clear line between on duty and off duty for cosplayers, and you should respect that too. Like, don't snap a pic of a Ghostbuster eating a sandwich or Miss Marvel taking a phone call. That's not cool. You should always be asking cosplayers if a picture is okay. Let them pose for you. Let them show off the way they want to, the work that they've done on their costumes. Just think of other people. Mm-hmm. Think of if you were in any of these situations, if what you are doing would annoy you. And then don't do it.
Right. I'm not gonna say who the guest was, but there were a couple of guests probably 2 or 3 years ago that were at Dragon Con, and they decided one evening that it would be fun to get out amongst the fans and see what was going on. And at their panel the next morning, they said, yeah, we were standing there and watched a roving rave come past us. They were just having a blast, and they just completely ignored us. It was great. Because they were just, and the people came by like, hey, you want to go with us?
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of the guests who come to the con. They remark that this is one of the most fun places for them to be. They love coming to this con because of the atmosphere. People are always friendly. They're always just welcoming. They will go out and party at night. It's, this is a big neighborhood block party essentially. So.
Yeah, we've got some amazing folks who really appreciate us. When I say us, I mean the entire Dragon Con community. So looking forward to having you be a part of it. And by showing that respect to the guests and the cosplayers and your fellow fans, that's what keeps making this such an amazing experience every year.
If you've got more questions, make sure to stick them in the comments. We'll just keep talking because we plan to be here for an hour.
There is the one about the... what is the very first thing to do when they get in on Wednesday after checking into the Marriott? Yeah.
Go have a good dinner.
Yeah.
Go have a good dinner, and then about 11:50, you should be in the lobby of the Marriott for the countdown to con at midnight
On Wednesday?
on Wednesday. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
starts on Thursday, so the countdown had to move to Wednesday.
Right here.
Atlanta is a very rich and historical city. So if you're looking for something to do that is really Atlanta based for the day that you'll be in, I know Sue and I have got a couple friends before and gone to the Center for Poetry Arts. That's a couple stops up MARTA. It's very fun to go to. There's the World of Coke Museum. If you're into that kind of thing, there's the Georgia Aquarium right nearby. There's the Human Rights Center that's right there. That is a very sobering experience that talks about the history of human rights in the United States, especially in the South. The Martin Luther King National Historic Site is nearby, and that is a fantastic exhibit. You can even get to tour his childhood home when you're there. It's a very interesting place to go. What else, Kim? What else have we got in the area that's very
cafe.
If you want to get your gothy geek on, you need to go over to Oakland Cemetery. It's a really old cemetery here in town, and I've seen quite a few really amazing gothish photo shoots that people have done there. There's Battle and Brew, which is a joystick game bar. There's also My Parents' Basement, which is a comic book bar.
If they're still doing them, I don't know if they're doing the tours right now or not. I know the Fox Theater will be open by then because I've got tickets the week before for an event. But they do tours at the Fox Theater as well.
That's Tours of the Fox.
And that's really
Fox
close.
Was built. Yeah, it was built in the late 30s or early 40s. And is a movie palace done in a Moorish style. It's really amazing. There are people who have had weddings in the bathrooms at the Fox. They are just that cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen the women's Egyptian bathroom at the Fox? That place is, it's amazing. I could live there. It's amazing.
I second all of these. But if you are looking for a more practical, logistical, organizational answer to what is the very first thing to do when I check into the Marriott, go up to your room, unpack your bags, and set everything up for the weekend. If you're a cosplayer, make sure all of your pieces are together. If you have a bunch of makeup, make sure it's all out on the counter and you didn't forget anything. Right. And because that's your time to do it. When you are done on Friday night, you're not going to want to set out your cosplay for Saturday morning. You're going to want to go to bed. Right. So that's the time to set up your room and get organized and get everything in place. And then maybe a lot of people I know like to just take a walk around what we think of as campus. Right. And just take a look at everything, see who's there, maybe run into people, grab some food, sit down and relax and just kind of chill.
Yeah. One of the things that
also,
go ahead, Kim.
I know some people that come in on Wednesday that fly in. And so because they fly in, they take advantage of that time to go to a grocery store and grab some snacks and things and some sodas and stuff, and maybe hit the liquor store somewhere. And there are several stores that are with easy distance of the con by going on MARTA or an Uber or Lyft ride that are really, just a convenient thing for you to go do if you're there on Wednesday.
Yeah, and the thing I was going to say to add to that, again, nowhere near as fun as many of the locations that everybody was mentioning, but if it's Wednesday, late afternoon, early evening, con's not going to be starting with official events, until Thursday, middle of the day or thereabouts. That's a wonderful time, as Sue touched on, to maybe take that walk between some of the hotels. Get your bearings, which hotel is in which direction, what's the fastest way I see to walk there. Because once Thursday hits and tens of thousands of people start coming in, the bearings are going to get a little harder, what direction you're walking, where you're going. So if you can do that before it's crowded, it can certainly help a lot of folks get a feel for where they are and how to get to somewhere. Walk through the different spots, as we're saying, outside the hotels, see what the directions are, where the locations are for food or snacks, or even, grab some lunch things and so forth. It's much like Sue's saying too, with laying out your clothes. You're going to find that things, or at least for me, when it comes to con, things ramp up like, shoo, and then there's no time. There's too much fun. You don't want to do the boring things like taking time to eat and sleep and go to the store. You're going to want to keep having the fun. So as much of that as you can pre-plan and do, you'll find it helps you get more at a con.
One thing I'll also add as a kind of personal endorsement is if you were looking for a place to go on Wednesday night with a group of friends before things start really getting ramped up, and you want a good down home Southern meal, look up Mary Mac's Tea Room. Take a Lyft or an Uber out there. You can eat really well for a good price, and it is just amazing.
All right. There is another question, and I am prepping the answer. What is the earliest time I can pick up my badge?
10 a.m.
Registration hours.
Look at that.
Thursday.
Ooh.
Hey.
10
10
a.m.
a.m.
Thursday.
on Thursday.
That's the earliest time. I'll leave the registration hours scroll up for a little bit as we go on. Are we still planning to have the newbie tours on Thursday?
Yes.
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 Yes, come on by Thursday afternoon.
We'll be starting at noon.
Noon, there we go. Things were still in
Badge
flux.
is required.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even though you might see some folks with conflicting info that no, badge isn't needed for events till 7 p.m. or something else. Again, with the way we work with the con, because again, we are an unofficial group, they have requested that we make sure that anyone coming on our tours or coming to our Q&A does already have their badge. So yes, please plan to get that first before you come over and see us in the Marriott.
And historically, they've been up in, there we go. Historically, they've been up on the atrium level, A601, A602 as the starting point. And then,
That's
Kim
where we will
does
be again.
Okay.
Yep.
That's
And then
the
Kim does a really good job of laying out a map of, okay, we're going to these locations with a tour guide and a wrangler at the back to keep everybody, together, pointing out good points of interest for each one, and really getting your good bearings of where everything is at the con.
Now,
We
how
are
about
currently
this?
recruiting for tour guides and wranglers. So if you're a veteran watching this, you've been coming to Dragon Con for at least 5 years, shoot me a PM on Facebook, please. Thank you.
How long are the tours, Kim, in terms of both time and mileage?
Average time on a tour is about 25 or 30 minutes. And the walking tours are right at a mile. And we also do rolling tours for people in wheelchairs and mobility scooters. And that tour route's actually a little bit longer than a mile for that. That's about all I got, I think.
Is the tour route mostly in the air conditioning, or is it outside?
Mostly in the air conditioning.
But not entirely.
Right.
Not entirely. We do go outside for about half a block. But otherwise, we are inside, and the walking tour does not use any elevators at all. So we're going to show you how to get around without using the elevators, where all the escalators are, where all the sky bridges are. We're going to point out where the America Mart buildings are, because those are not, the vendors hall isn't open until Friday, I believe.
Correct.
But we will point out where this is the reason why we go out on the sidewalk, is to show you where the America Mart buildings are in the Westin. But that's the only time we're outside. So we're outside for a very short time on the tour. Almost all of it's in the air conditioning and walking around.
Do you have to reserve a spot? No. You show up.
No,
So the
it's
tours
on a
will be
first
on the
come, first served
schedule.
basis.
Yep, tours will be on the schedule for a 4-hour block. I believe they're currently scheduled from noon to 4 p.m. And we will
Yes.
send tours, depending on how many tour guides we have, every 5 to 10 minutes. And we'll send them with probably this year around 10 people. because we're trying to keep it smaller. It used to be 20. So just show up. Depending on when you show up, you might have a longer wait, but there is no need to reserve a spot. There is no way to reserve a spot. So,
and while you're hanging out and waiting for your tour group to go, historically, Sue and Kevin and I have been up there kind of doing the, Q&A thing at the same time. So you throw your questions out, learn more about the con while you're there. Sometimes we've had people from various tracks or, various veterans come up and talk about things to help out. And yeah, you won't be, what is this? What is this?
this year, if you ask a question in person at one of our events, you get a Dragon Con newbie ribbon.
Oh, ribbons! Yay!
Yay!
Yeah, and the tours, again, Thursday, noon to 4.
Mhm.
You can come and do one of those. That's the only time we can do them, because come Thursday night and Friday, things are just too packed. As much as we'd like to help out and do other tours then, there's just no way with the crowds to be able to do them then. So that's your window if you'd like to take the walking tour. As we point out again, we're not in a convention center. We're in 5 hotels plus the America's Mart. So there's lots of different places. You physically just need to know where they are.
Tours start at noon on Thursday.
Mhm.
Noon to 4 is what it'll be on the schedule. In practicality, the last tour will probably leave around 3:30.
Always got to
And
wait
Kevin,
to see.
when are our tentatively scheduled Q&A panels, and what are they called?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Kim.
Do I get a ribbon for that?
There you go.
Right.
You, of all people, do not need a Dragon Con newbie ribbon.
I do. I do.
For the folks who maybe can't get there in the afternoon, or who just want to maybe ask a few of the questions, much like these online events we've started to do this year, we do 2 scheduled Q&A time blocks where you can just come and ask a question of us and the other folks that'll be there in the room. On Thursday, we'll do them after the time block for the tours. So I believe it's the 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. time slot on Thursday. And then first thing Friday, as far as first thing for con schedule, which is normally 10 a.m., I believe we'll have a 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. panel as well. You don't have to, it's not different content. Literally 90% of that will be us taking your questions, much like these events are, and throwing a few tips in. So if between now and then you all of a sudden discover something else you want to know more about, feel free to come. We'll have a couple of good sized rooms, so there'll be plenty of rooms to just come, ask a question. And again, I need to reinforce it because some folks keep getting concerned. Well, I don't want to sound dumb, or I'm not sure if this has been asked. We don't care. Ask it again. We've heard many of them thousands of times. That's okay. It's new to you, and we want to help you. And odds are very high that there's at least one other person in the room who's like, oh, I was going to ask that too. So you're helping your fellow congoers too. So don't be bashful.
Thursday's event is called the Newbie Q&A, and Friday morning's event is called Dragon Con 101. So you'll know what to look for on the schedule.
But those are both just open forum Q&As.
Right.
Just got to have different names on events on the con schedule. Now, one of the things I see there in the chat too is sky bridges. Let's give
the habit trails.
Yeah, we go. I was going to say, know what a lot of ongoing congoers call them. When Kim filled that in there, we have fun with those. They are ways to move between many of the hotels without having to go outdoors. Let's face it, this is Atlanta, late August, early September. It is going to be hot and muggy, might even have downpours late in the day. So it's nice when you can move through many of the hotels without having to go outdoors. However,
actually, there are maps. Someone's asking about maps, and I believe that there are maps in the app that do include the sky bridges.
Yeah, they're also in the quick start guide too.
And the quick start guide, and we'll have them as well.
Yep, but just
so
to
you can have that handy.
Yeah, if you see it on an actual map, or you hear a hotel employee refer to it as the sky bridge between X and Y, and then you ask a congoer and they say, oh yeah, the habit trail's over there. Again, it's the same thing. Right. It's just, a little bit of love on our part to call them habit trails, but they are the sky bridges.
Many of the maps will show a lot of the sky bridges, but there is one that is often not on the maps, and that goes from the food court at Peachtree Center to the parking garage that's next to the Sheridan.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right.
It's long and it's outside, so it's not air conditioned,
It
but
is covered though.
it is covered, and
Mhm.
there are no hills because it's a sky bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
So
If you
that
if you come and take the tour, we will take you on almost all the sky bridges.
Mhm.
and
We do cover
just
those.
to reiterate, yes, there's it's called the map in the app that shows the area is called the Atlanta footprint.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So those will be in the app. Absolutely.
Now keep in
And
mind too.
they're also on Google Images. If you type Dragon Con map, you can
that's a good
see
one
it
too.
now.
Mhm.
Yep, getting the bearings because again, and it won't so much show in many of the maps, but the hotels physically, if you pop outside and you're at like the Sheraton or the Hilton, the other ones as we move towards the Marriott, the Hyatt, the Westin, you're going up a pretty good grade hill.
Oh yeah.
This is why the sky bridges are nice too, because you're indoors. It's a little easier to move that way. Because if you walk outside and decide I'm going to walk up, from the Sheraton to the Westin, get ready, folks. That's a big hill in Atlanta, several blocks. So
Mhm.
that's the understanding of your movement between the hotels. Sometimes there's too many people indoors, and if you got to get to something fast, you'll be able to move quicker outside. But you will be dealing with some hills and again the humidity and heat, so forth, to be aware of.
Atlanta is not flat.
No, not where we're at in the heart of the city.
And honestly, I mean, this might sound silly if you're you're unfamiliar, but honestly, if you are not a very active person, I would suggest that you start walking now.
Just
Walk 15
Stand
to
up.
30 minutes a day, ramp it up and get used to it. Because you will be on your feet, and you will be on your feet a lot for 5 days straight. I think the most miles I've ever racked up in a year was something like 46 over those 5 days. And most of that is going to be Friday to Sunday, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So the tech ops guys were saying, 40 to 50 is about what they do. I usually do about 30 to 35.
Yeah.
And it's with the shoe thing too, like make sure your shoes are broken in, they're comfortable. I bought a new pair of shoes for Dragon Con because my other ones were worn out, and I was like, I'm breaking them in now.
Oh yeah.
I got a month. I'm breaking them in now.
Don't wear new shoes at Dragon Con.
No, not the time to break in a new pair of sneakers, shoes, whatever. Make sure ahead of time because you're going to be spending so much time on your feet.
Another tip I learned from the tech op guys: compression socks are your friend.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, one of the things I do, whether I'm cosplaying or not, I pack an extra t-shirt for every day of the convention. I don't always use them, but that if I have the opportunity where I have a break and I can drop into my room and I'm sitting down and relaxing, sometimes just putting on a fresh shirt can make you feel so much better.
One thing to kind of circle back to an earlier topic, related to an earlier talk when we're talking about having a con bag or something to carry stuff around. Again, if you're someone staying well outside of the area of the official hotels, obviously, you're not going to want to go back to your location by a mart or whatever. But some folks will say, oh, I'm staying in one of the official hotels, so I really probably don't need that con bag. I can just run up to my room when I need something. Be aware, especially as you get later in the day and the evening. Again, so many people in such a small area, your wait to get an elevator and the time it takes to get up and then back down. Hey, if you got an hour or so, fine. But if you don't, depending upon the hotel and the time of day, elevators at Dragon Con are quite the challenge to get.
Unless you're on a low floor and are able to take stairs, there is no such thing as a quick stop by your room.
Yeah. So do keep another reason why my goal is, even if I'm in an official con hotel, I don't want to go back to that room till it's time to go to bed. So I have everything in the con bag there. And also do keep in mind another thing when it comes to those elevators. Again, folks with mobility issues in wheelchairs, scooters, or with canes and so forth, please make room and allow them to move. It's harder for them to get to these when you've got a crush of people moving to the elevator. Rather, just be conscious of those around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep in mind that not all disabilities are visible. or obvious. And honestly, if you are physically able, please take the stairs or the elevator, because not only is it helping to free up the elevators for the people who really need them, but you will probably get where you're going faster.
Yeah, you definitely will.
And this
The
can escalate
stairs
this
are
way as well if you don't want to truly do stairs. You know, there are many. This is one of those things to kind of
This
get
is
aware
if
of.
you're able.
Yeah.
But there are you get to know, usually when you're in a hotel, you don't think to like take the stairs or the fire exits. And it's certainly something that becomes sort of a veteran trick at Dragon Con. Because when I see people, especially in the Marriott, there is, right when you come across the Skybridge from the Hyatt, there is I think it's a fire stairwell access door. And just right before you enter the main area where it's all super crowded. And that's where I beeline every time. I go into that door and I go down to where I need to be.
Yep.
And every time I open that door, people are surprised. Like, what are you doing in an access stairwell? Like, I'm accessing where I need to go.
I'm getting to the next floor 10 times faster than you that are going to walk all around it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give you the caveat on that too, though. If you're using the stairs, just be careful opening those doors. They don't have windows on them, and they're big, heavy doors. So don't just go flinging them open because there may be someone on the other side that you can't see, especially at street level. As you're popping out onto the sidewalks. So
emergency exits will still be emergency exits.
Yeah.
Also, so you will set off an alarm, but just internally, floor to floor, those doors should be open, and they're super useful.
Yeah.
Any other questions, folks, or any other topics here before we wrap up today? And again, these are, available. They're recorded, so you can feel free to point other folks who might have similar questions to them, to kind of help out and get some information passed along in the community. This lets us all get more out of the con. Don't see anything else. I think we're probably right around an hour. Good for today. Big thank you to, Michael, Sue, and Kim. The four of us have a blast doing the stuff. We're just con goers, just like all of you. Our Newbies group that has, I don't know how many thousands of folks are in there now, 5,000 or so. Isn't all newbies. It's a lot of folks like us who come and stay in the group after years of being there to help other folks out. Advice, insights. We don't know it all. Nobody does. We all learn. So feel free to talk it up and get some information and learn. Sue's got the link right there. So, come on by. We've got a great group of moderators available too to help us out to get posts and comments, keep things in line. For the same reason, we all love the con and want to see folks get the most out of it. So do appreciate you stopping by to check it out. Come by the group. I think we'll maybe do another one of these before con. We'll see what schedules hold. And do check out the official resources, the town halls that the con does, and lots of other stuff. And get your information there and let us know if we can help on anything. So again, on that note, I think we'll close for today, but thanks everybody. Looking forward to seeing many of you at the con.
Less than a month away.
Yep.
Almost there.
Get those cosplays done.
Oh my gosh. All right. Bye everybody.
Bye.